Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Electric Sheep. This will be one of our few non sci fi stories, so without any further delay, here is The Philosopher's Sword.
Philosopher's Sword. The wizard did not choose a squire. That alone unsettled the court. Squires were tradition, clean hands, eager backs, untested minds. They were vessels waiting to be filled. But the wizard sought a mind already full, already tempered by weight and heat and failure. He sought a blacksmith. The blacksmith's name was never recorded. Names, the wizard said, cling too tightly to things that must change. The smith did not look at stone and see stone. He looked at the gray lump hauled from the hills and shook his head. He struck it once with a hammer, not to shape it, but to listen. "It is not stone," he said. The court laughed. The knights laughed loudest. "It is ore," the blacksmith continued, unmoved. "Stone is dead. This still remembers fire." That was the first test. The wizard smiled because philosophy had nothing to do with books and everything to do with recognition. The philosopher's stone had never been a stone at all. It was the question hidden inside matter. What are you really? The wizard took the king aside and spoke in riddles, as wizards must. He told him that a sword would choose a king, but only if the king understood that choosing was not taking. He told him that power drawn without labor shatters, but power forged through knowing becomes law. The king listened. He was young enough to still doubt himself. The ore was brought to the forge and sealed behind doors. No knights were allowed, no priests, no witnesses who believed authority came from birth alone. Only the wizard, the king, and the blacksmith remained. The blacksmith built the bloomery himself, not with spells, though the wizard whispered over the fire, but with charcoal, air, and patience. Days passed, sweat-soaked stone. The ore darkened, softened, resisted, then yielded. Slag bled away like lies under pressure. From the furnace came not a blade, but a bloom, ugly, spongy, half-formed. The knights would have scoffed. A king could not rule with this. "That," said the wizard, "is philosophy." The blacksmith placed the bloom on the anvil and stepped aside. "Now," he said to the king, "you must begin." The king hesitated. His hands were unscarred. His arms knew armor, but not labor. He had been trained to command, not to strike. The wizard said nothing, so the king lifted the hammer. Each blow rang wrong at first, too proud, too rushed. The bloom cracked and threatened to fail. The blacksmith stopped him. "Do not tell the metal what it should be," he said. "Ask it what it wants to become." The king slowed. He listened. He learned the sound of truth in iron. Strike, fold, heat, strike again. The blade grew longer with each honest effort. Not drawn from stone, but drawn out, earned inch by inch. Days became nights. Nights became resolve. When the sword finally lay complete upon the anvil, it was not radiant. It did not glow. It did not sing. It simply was. The wizard nodded. "Excalibur," he said, "was never pulled from stone. It was pulled from ignorance." The blacksmith bowed, not to the king, but to the blade, for it was no weapon of domination. It was a proof. The king took the sword, and only then did the court doors open. The knights saw a blade born not of magic tricks, but of knowledge. The people saw a king who had labored, who had learned, who had bled heat and humility into steel. And thus the secret endured. The philosopher's stone was ore. The sword was forged, not granted. And the true king was not the one who claimed power, but the one who understood what power truly was. It is not the blade, but the written word. This be the thing, the philosopher's sword.
Well, that rhyme works better if you read it rather than it being written, because word and sword don't really rhyme, but if you read them, they're very similar looking words. But I thought that turned out pretty good. I had written something that was probably just over a minute long, and ChatGPT stretched it out to over 3.5 minutes, and so it added a lot of details. I didn't even originally have it indicated that the blacksmith and the king were two different characters. I was going more off the sword and the stone version of the King Arthur tale, where he was the squire, but they Chat GPT decided to make the blacksmith and the king separate characters, which is fine. That works pretty good. It keeps the heart of the message, anyways. The idea that the blade was drawn out in the forging, not drawn from the sword. If you don't know, drawn out is the blacksmithing process when something is like stretched out, made longer, drawn out. Uh, so if that didn't make sense, maybe that helps that make a little bit more sense. Um, but yeah, the ending poem thing is kind of a play on the whole story because the philosopher's sword isn't actually the sword in the story. The philosopher's sword is the story itself, the word. Um, I just like to lay things out and explain them because if you try to leave things hidden in riddles, people never figure out what the fuck you're talking about. And so I hope you enjoyed the story. I'm Captain Canada. You might know me as Joseph Arthur Roszell. I want to thank you for watching. I want to wish you all the luck in the world. I love you, and I want you to know that suicide is never the answer. Peace out. For now.